Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stacey West preview show. My name is Jake, as always, and here we are to preview another massive game as we host Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday afternoon. Before we do get into the preview, please do make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the Stacey West channel as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. It will be much appreciated by myself and the rest of the Stacey West team. So please make sure that you do share it with your friends, and let's spread the word about the Stacey West. A little bit from my sort of point of view about the Ipswich game then. For me, obviously a really standout performance so far this season. We've held a lot of pressure from Ipswich in that first half. Obviously, we were able to get ahead through Ben House. Probably should have added to that lead early in the second half. House obviously hit the post. Jack Diamond has an opportunity, which I think he probably scores a couple of weeks ago. And obviously, potentially a penalty for handball also. So, definitely an interesting game. Then the last sort of 40 minutes were horrendous viewing. Didn't particularly enjoy watching the game whatsoever. It was wave after wave of Ipswich attack, and they were constantly building up through the likes of Lee Evans into Marcus Harness and players that would walk into our team were coming off the bench. Says it all really about what we're competing against so far this season, and to come away with a 1-0 win was absolutely massive. Obviously, Ipswich hadn't lost at home all season, so even better to ruin that record. But it's not going to get any easier, unfortunately. Sheffield Wednesday sit one place and 1 point behind Ipswich in the Sky Bet League One playoff. And let's have a look at what Jake, aka Punk Chef, had to say on the Owls. Right, we are joined by another Jake. I know this is a little bit like Jake Inception. Jake, aka Punk Chef. Jake, how are you?
I'm not too bad. I've just shifted a wardrobe from my next door neighbour's house into my house because they're moving, and they went, "Do you want some free stuff?" And I'm like, "Yes." There's a living crisis on. Of course, I want it. So yeah. I just pick whatever I can that they said I can have.
Yeah. Well, whenever me and you have done shows before, we've always struggled to figure out who on earth they're talking to. So we'll go with Punk Chef. Right. Wednesday then. Obviously, this is what your second year down in League One.
Yep.
Started off pretty well, haven't you? You know, you sat up there third in League One at the moment, 1 point behind Ipswich in the run for automatic promotion, which we did you a favour for on Saturday. Yeah, absolutely, no worries. I've highlighted a few key men. Before we get onto that, just talk to us a little bit about your season so far. Obviously, better start than last year, and you guys look the real deal this time, don't you?
Yeah, this season we've recruited very well, again, with some free transfers. Last season, that's all we could do because of the transfer embargo, or no one still knows if it was from the club or from the FL, but we were just tightening our budget. And we did well last season considering, but this season we've gone to another level. Like the game at the weekend versus Cambridge, we would have lost that last season. We would have lost our heads, and there's a different mentality now, and it's winning ugly. And I think in this league, if you can learn to win ugly, you get out of it. And being in third with a point behind Ipswich is fantastic. I've got the kind of thing. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not saying we're going up. I'm not saying we're playoffs or anything. I've just got a funny feeling the team looks more settled, and there's a togetherness that we didn't quite have until the back end last season. And again, we recruited well. Wilkes still not come to fruition, but Smith and Gregory are starting a partnership, which when you think of it last season, Gregory was our top goal scorer and Smith was Rotherham's. That's a scary partnership if that comes good. And we look more solid at the back this year, which is something we struggle with. So it's been a good start. I just hope we can keep the consistency going. That's our key, because we were very good at being consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of people put you guys towards the top end of the predictions for this year purely because on the recruitment that you guys have made. You know, Smith, Ahikwe, Will Volks, all really good signings. Malik Wilkes, Alex Mighton is one player that I certainly wanted to come to Lincoln based due to his Forest connections. I thought he might do, but he's ended up at Wednesday and has become a bit of a squad player, given how quality he is. That's quite strange.
It's weird because he played last night in the Papa Johns and he just didn't look overly great against the under-21 team, and it was weird. I don't know if it's lack of game time, lack of confidence. And I was expecting this really good world beater. I thought we were going to have a situation where you had Brennan Johnson a couple of seasons ago and he was the player. I was like, right, we've done the same thing. Let's go with that model. I think it'll still happen. He's here for the season, so we'll see what happens.
One man that I don't think is going to get the plaudits, so he probably does amongst the Wednesday fans, but he won't making any headlines when you signed him. Ben Hennigan came in on a free from AFC Wimbledon. Not the most glamorous of signing, but he's a good League One player, and you need good League One players to get out of League One. And he's really sort of shone since he's moved to S6, hasn't he?
Oh God, yeah. He was when we signed him. We had a lot of the fan base going, "Why are we signing relegation fodder?" Thinking it because he's gone down with Wimbledon, he's not good enough. He's a very good, no nonsense centre back, which was something we lacked at Wednesday for a while. He'll put it in Rose's head. He'll put his head where it hurts. I think it was 2 weekends ago. He had a cut to the head. Darren Moore turning around to the doctor. Doctor gone. You need to come off. And he went, gone. Why? Got a cut to the head. And is he concussed? No. I'm a defender. He's a defender. He carries on. And Ben Hennigan kind of went, do you want to come off? Do a hell. And it's something you need. You need that person who's going to throw the body on the line, which we didn't have last season. And he's winning most of our aerial battles. And he's been in EFL Team of the Week a number of occasions now. It's been a very smart free signing.
And obviously the main man that's going to draw the headlines, Barry Bannan. A lot of people were sort of thinking with Conor Hourihane stepping down into League One this year, was there going to be a bit of debate? Who's going to be a better player, Hourihane or Bannan? Both probably don't belong at the level. But I'd probably say Bannan has completely smashed Hourihane out of the park in terms of contributions and stuff like that. Talk to us about Bannan because he's a bit of a magician.
He's a cheat code in League One. It's simple as we shouldn't have it. He had an interview recently that he did with Alan Briggs, how he was talking about how if he wanted to go, he could have gone so many times, but he likes where he is. He feels like he found a home at Wednesday. And if you don't know his backstory, he was at Celtic. He got left somewhere by the Celtic on the summer. They had to pick him up. They went down to Villa. And he was always that player looking for a home. He never really got it at Blackpool when Blackpool went up. He had the Villa thing and then he had the passing. And then we had him that first season under Karloff where it was all changing and he was just superb. And then I think in January we said we'll take the rest of his contract on, and it's been ever since. He's been here like 7 years now, and it's amazing that footballer got that loyalty. And he said if a contract comes his way again, he'll sign it. And I thought he could have been off so many times, but he likes his football, and I think it's very rare to have a player come out and say that. And he also came out and said a lot about the journalists recently that have been saying he's on 40 grand a week, he's on this, and he piped back and said, you don't know what I am. Yes, I took a massive cut to come down, but if you want to keep playing football for a club you love and the fan base you love, you take the wage cut. It's like, it's not about money, it's about playing football, and it's refreshing.
Absolutely. Another, like you said earlier, you mentioned that the game against Cambridge on Saturday. You said you would have lost that last year. Lee Gregory on the score sheet, 2 goals. Must have been a really, really good away day for you a lot. I imagine you sold out. But a really good performance that probably shows how far Wednesday have come in the space of 12 months. Because, you say like this time last year, you might have gone and lost that sort of game.
We got the situation where last year teams like a Cambridge, a Morecambe, a Forest Green. Well, everyone can beat Forest Green. No offense, Forest Green fans, but you are.
We couldn't. We didn't beat them. No, we drew 1-1 with them.
Next time. But it is that thing where the mentality changed. The mentality changed with how we play teams. In Cambridge, we would have lost last year. Hev would have gone down. Darren Moore at the end of the game wasn't happy because he said, what do you think of the game? And his response was, it's 3 points. He said, anything else, it's 3 points. That told you how angry he is. That we lost momentum in the second half and we should have had a lot more. But now Lee Gregory is up and running. That kind of scary because he was prolific last season. And if we can get Smith up and running and eventually get Wilk going, because we know Wilkes is good in this league. It's an interesting strike force if we get it going.
Yeah, one of those strikers is Lee Gregory that if he gets one, he sort of tends to go on a run, and there's quite a few of them sorts of strikers in League One if you look up and down the division. We do like to take a look at the last time that the two clubs met. You won't be too happy to hear that it was a comprehensive 3-1 win for Lincoln at St.
I remember the podcast we were on, you gloated.
Yeah, it was to be honest, it was probably the highlight of our season. Obviously the beef that I've got with Wednesday fans is all well and good. But if I'm honest, it was a really good game of football from what I can remember. Yeah. John Mark was 2 goals, and then obviously the lad from Arsenal, Brooke Norton-Cuffy, scoring our goal. Sido Berahino got the goal for you. What can you remember? What can you remember of that afternoon?
I don't remember much of the game, but I remember the game stopping a couple of times because the police kept on coming in because our end went mental. And I've never understood the rivalry between Lincoln and Wednesday fans. It's been one of these ones. I think it's just with one of those away days. Everyone was a bit hyped up, and it's been like that ever since. Yeah. And thus why it's a 1 p.m. kickoff. Lincoln Police said, make it a 1 p.m. kickoff. We need the resources. Our cop shot behind so we can fill it up before Saturday night before they're idiots, kind of thing. So it was a good game of football. I remember all going, we couldn't defend for Toffee, and that was during that period where we had a lot of injuries at the back, if I remember. So we had makeshift defenders and stuff. And it was a wake-up call, but I think for a lot of fans, it's like, this league is a lot harder than they thought it was going to be. Because last year, a lot of our fans were like, well, walk this, we'll be fine. And I feel like Derby fans are doing the same at the minute, and then they're going against teams, and it's like League One has turned into Championship Mark II with the quality and with how tight it is. And I think it's been going that way for a good 2-3 seasons now. And that just shows you how good EFL football is. And it annoys me how much little attention the EFL gets compared to Premier League and stuff. It should have more numbers than it gets, and it should have its own TV licensing deals for the clubs and not with the EFL, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you about Derby. They came to Central Bank a few weeks ago and got humbled the same way you did last year. So maybe they might get the playoffs like you did last year. Let's talk about Lincoln. Obviously, you work with Dapper and do the EFL show on a Sunday evening. What have you made of Lincoln so far this year? Obviously, you would have covered them a little bit.
It's been interesting.
Massively helped you out on the weekend. From
you did massively help with that on the weekend, and I said before we went live, I'm kind of worried that we might have the thing, because consistently that's something we have done in the past. Lincoln been very weird. They still got that. You still got a real strange hangover from Appleton era. You're slowly starting to come out of it, and you're having signs where it's looking good, but I don't know. There's just something not right there, not as in terms of the fan base or the player, but with the club as a whole. Something just doesn't seem right behind the scenes, and I don't know if that's something the fans have picked up and it's leaking down onto the pitch. I thought you've done okay with your signing, but you lost something when Appleton went. Last season, I could understand why it was a difficult season. His whole cancer, hard to get a season going. You're playing for him to try and do the best you can. This season, you're just trying to go along with the motions and just hopefully stay up. You will stay up, I can guarantee. There's a lot of teams worse than you. But I think that season where you had that flyer, we were all expecting you to kick on, and it just not happened. And I think that's where Plymouth at the minute are doing quite well with kicking on from last season, even though I am worried for them if West Brom come knocking for the manager, because of that. As a Wednesday fan, I kind of want to go, brilliant, take him. That's better for us. As a football fan, I feel for him, because that's 2 seasons in a row at the same time the manager's gone. And it's interesting because their manager said he doesn't want to leave. He's happy where he is. And I know some Plymouth fans, and they're like, hey, he's not going anywhere. It's like, how many times has the manager said that and buggered off?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Plymouth is, even if Schumacher was to go, you could see them still sticking up around there in League One because the momentum is so strong. Right, Jay, I'm gonna force you for a score prediction for Saturday 1 o'clock. I understand if you're going to go Wednesday victory, you sort of, I've put you in a corner like you've got to, but it's going to be a bit more difficult than I think a lot of your fans might make out.
I think it's going to be a cagey 2-1 win.
KG 2-1 win. And Jake, plug yourself, plug your channel, plug your work with Dapper. This is the perfect opportunity for you to do.
Thank you very much, mate. I am PunkChef41. I run a Sheffield Wednesday fan channel. Every game, every transfer I cover. I also do a EFL League One review show with 18 Dapper and Ian Bradley. We talk about all things at EFL. I also have another podcast, Wednesday Base, which is called Talking Wednesday, with my good friend Dexterity Box on his channel, and my other good friend Worko, who comes on as a guest as well. And we just talk everything Wednesday, and we just want to show the positivity of what the EFL is, because there's still so many people up in the chat in the Premier League or elsewhere that doesn't really get how exciting the EFL can be. And if you actually go and look into it and look at the games, some of the games this season have been mental. Come on, our first game of the season, 3-3 with Portsmouth, a mental game.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on, Jake, and we'll see you towards the back end of the season.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, massive thank you to Jake for coming on the channel at such late notice and helping us out with a preview. The link to his channel will be in the description below this video, so if you go and check him out, he does some really good Wednesday content, as well as his podcast as well, which I recommend you go and listen to once we have played on Saturday. So that does bring another episode of the Stacey West Preview Show to a conclusion. Thank you if you stuck around to this point. It's massively appreciated, your support. As I said at the start of the show, if we could get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, that would be massively appreciated. But until we see you on Sunday for the West End Imps show, we'll thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Up the Imps.